Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, I'm going to be talking about Hades and astrology. Now, Hades is considered a trans-Neptunian planet. Of course, it's not, one of our 10 main astrological planets, but it's considered trans-Neptunian. Hades had been in Taurus for a very long time, and I'm thinking, Hades could be connected with what's sinister, nefarious. So I wonder if that might have played a role. Maybe a lot of people really about being dominated by money and avarice and greed during the time that Hades had been traversing, what have you, the sign of Taurus. I understand there's a lot of people that are like that anyway, regardless of it, but that certainly could have helped maybe make a good fertilizer for already existing greed in many people's lives. Now, the thing too is, I thought was interesting when I looked, I had kind of a revelation or epiphany one day. I noticed that Hades was right. It's very close proximity to my ascendant. When I saw that, I'm like, wow, what is this about? What does this mean? Now, the thing about it is, with Hades on the ascendant, Hades can be connected as well with, decay, deterioration, degeneration, what have you. I find it interesting that Taurus can be connected with the lower teeth. As many of you may know, I have Taurus rising. Of course, Taurus, the ascendant, of course, is connected with the physical body. It does dominate the appearance. And I've had, sadly, as some of you can obviously have seen in my videos, that my lower teeth have degenerated and deteriorated, decayed over the years now. The thing about this is many people may experience that anyway, regardless of the aspects or placements in their chart. But, because in older age people, that can happen with people. But that's happened to me at a relatively, younger age. So that's what I'm saying. I really wonder if that might have something to do with that. I also have Saturn on my ascendant, so that obviously does not help matters. Now, another thing about Hades, which is important. This video is going to, I'm just kind of giving you fundamental, basics, fundamentals of this, trans-Neptunian planet, Hades, in this particular video. Another thing about it, though, it also, on a positive end, it can be connected with the occult, supernatural, astrology. And I wonder if that might be playing some role in why I'm proficient and astute in astrology, very much so, I would say. I think my knowledge is obviously at least fairly profuse in this area, and it's not being arrogant or egotistical, just being factual. And the fact I have it on my ascendant, I also have it right, it's actually even closer to my natal Saturn, and the Saturn can be connected with work and the career. Saturn is also one of the rulers of my 10th house cusp, and interestingly enough, that ruler, that one of those rulers, that Saturn, is in the 12th house of the metaphysical, which includes astrology, which could reaffirm and reinforce that energy. So I thought it was very interesting. But the thing about Hades is, what we have to understand is that it's a little bit misconstrued. To some degree, yes, it can carry some negative energy with it. It can be somewhat sinister, it might, in real negative manifestation, somewhat nefarious, perhaps, connected with criminal or corrupt behavior. Remember, Hades is associated with that realm of that underworld, where the corrupt people, the dead people that are nefarious or corrupt. And the thing about that is, at least from, I guess, a mythological standpoint anyway, or what have you. But the thing about Hades too is that it could also, since there seems to be something connected with recycling, one can surmise that transformation can also be a critical, important part or proponent of Hades. And it could mean that people, that have this prominent in their chart might be somebody that could be good at recycling or just some kind of transformation. I think the key with Hades is when if you have this strong in your chart, if you have it on your ascendant, your sun, your moon, in your first house, if it's something that if it conjuncts a personal planet in your chart, or even conjuncts the midheaven, is not to let it don't let it dominate in the negative sense. Don't let it power you toward anything as far as corrupt or nefarious. Use the energy to empower others, because this could be very transforming. I believe Hades is how the energy can manifest if used properly and in the right manner. Where Hades is in a chart by house, it seems to me is where there might be some sinister energy, or at least perception of that. I thought it was interesting that I have a prominent family member that referred to her own father as evil in some kind of writing she had one time. And if I remember correctly, she has Hades in Aries in her 10th house, or at least near her 10th house, cusp from the 9th house. So it's really something where maybe she perceived this person anyway, not just being somewhat sinister, but being volatile and sinister as well, being that it was in the sign of Aries. So I think, like, depending on where it's placed in your chart, I would say more so by sign, because Hades does spend many years. I don't know the exact amount of years or approximate years, but it spends many years in a zodiac sign. So I would say it's more important to look at Hades in terms of the house that it is in, and that could be where at least you might have some kind of this perceived nefarious energy connected with whatever house it is, and people that are associated with that house. Like the 10th house, it could be the dominant parent, which is often the father. The 4th house could be the less dominant parent, which is often the mother. 3rd house, maybe you feel that there's some kind of sinister energy connected with siblings, with cousins, neighbors, maybe somebody that was prominent in your early education, like a classmate or former teacher. So those are some ways to look at this. And I thought was interesting too, as well, as that, this could be when you're talking about decay and degeneration and deterioration. The fact that this is on my physical body is very interesting. I've had a number of health issues during my life. I'm not even 50 years old, and I have irrevocable nerve damage. I've had a herniated disc in my neck. Of course, the neck can be associated with Taurus. I think the fact that this falls on my Saturn certainly doesn't help matters, because that could give even more sorrowful, despondent energy and associated with Hades placements. And I think I wonder too, the fact that Hades can be so misconstrued and misunderstood by people in terms of its overall, the total meaning, not just the negative, but the not maybe perhaps because people can be oblivious to the positive points of Hades. Why some people have misconstrued me. Somebody, I'm not going to say the exact question, but somebody had asked me a question one time about me, and it really had to do with my character and credibility, and I thought they were just way off base for asking the question. And it just made me wonder if that has something to do with Hades by my ascendant. Really, it was really insulting and really hurtful. And the thing is, and I do think if somebody has Hades that's on their ascendant, sun or moon especially, they could be somewhat very misunderstood or misconstrued because of the nature of the energy that is associated with Hades. Can carry, I believe, some kind of despondency and sorrow and feelings of dejection or sadness. And the fact, again, as I stated before, I do have this on my Saturn, so it certainly does not help matters. So anyways, really not much more I wanted to really say about this, except that the thing about what Hades is, again, if you have, it seems to me that it's very Plutonian-like in its energy, but it's really but it might even be a little bit darker on I would say maybe more so than I would say than Pluto, perhaps. But the thing is, but it is very, I think, in terms of how it manifests in one's chart, it can be very much like Pluto. And the thing about it too is it's just something where well, we have to look at it and understand that there are some good things associated with Hades, as well as the negative as well. I think when you're looking at this, I mean, people that have Hades prominent in their chart, they may be able to do things that are like very like kind of like Plutonian Scorpio, like again like being very proficient in the occult, supernatural, occult, including astrology. It could be things that might have to do with digging deep. It could be by pulling up things, you know, from the ground that need to be, you know, that need to be found. Whether you're, you know, it's a detective looking for bodies that might have been buried, and perhaps by pulling them up, excavating them basically, or doing things that involve a lot of extensive investigation, dig deeping, so to speak. If somebody has, say, Hades and Taurus in their 8th house in their natal chart, that could actually be somebody, as an example, that could be very proficient and very persistent, you know, investigation and deep research. Or maybe even, you know, I mean, this could be, I mean, somebody that could really, I mean, because not only is Hades connected with that anyway, but if you have that, say, in your 8th house, or if it's conjunct Pluto, that might really reinforce that ability to do things very well that can be Pluto related. So it's something that something to look at. And again, there's some other things that people may actually do well in with Hades. Well, you know, as far as prominent in their horoscope, it could be, again, doing something with astrology, occult, supernatural. I would think even psychology. This person might actually have a very strong ability to go beyond subterfuge and superficiality. I'd say psychology, psychiatry, surgery. Uh, it could be somebody that works with dead bodies, such as like a coroner or a mortician, or somebody you know, that works in forensics. I would say could be something else that the person can do well. And also, again, being connected with perhaps recycling, anything with transformation can be very good. If somebody has the site in their 1st house in their natal chart, it could be somebody that could really be about the transformation of the physical body, and be able to really, in being in the 1st house, I would say really be able to empower others in their life, or even in the 7th house is more about others. I would say even if it's in the 7th house, that could be about really empowering others and transforming other people's lives. So anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment. Until next time, people, Edwin Learnard saying stay well.